Well, I would start by saying that it's been very interesting to revisit the topic of metafiction because it has been absent from the lexis that I've been using more recently, which has been more closely related to time. But what I wanted to do in these two seminars was to think again about the history of metafiction, so tell a slightly different story. In the first of the two seminars, I decided to do that by thinking about Muriel Spark as opposed to the metafictional writers who were canonized in postmodernism in the 1960s and 70s. So I wanted to think particularly about the relationship between Muriel Spark and Ali Smith, which is a public and acknowledged relationship. There is a very clear line of influence there. And a lot of that influence, I think, has to do with the kind of graphic self-consciousness that is very prominent in the kind of words that Muriel Spark uses. And the way that Ali Smith has altered and changed that graphic self-referentiality. In the second seminar, I wanted to look in the other direction, so not back to the past, but towards the contemporary, and particularly to the idea that the ground that was once occupied by metafiction increasingly has been occupied by autofiction, whereby there are writers who write memoirs about often the production of their own work. So my corpus after Muriel Spark and Ali Smith was to focus on Rachel Cusk, Sheila Heti, and Claire Louise Bennett, all places where you can find a very prominent attention to the graphic surface of texts. And I suppose what I think fundamentally is that many of the things that we became expert in, accustomed to when we studied metafiction have changed because critical paradigms have changed, that not only has fiction changed, but the approach to fiction has changed in a way that now makes metafiction look like a kind of resource for the description of a different kind of writing, which is authorial self-referentiality rather than textual self-referentiality, but authorial self-referentiality that nevertheless makes use a lot of a kind of autotelic graphic dimension to contemporary fictions. Well, that has been a very positive experience. I've really enjoyed getting to know the university, staying at the Carmen de la Victoria, being near the Alhambra, getting to know the Albaicin. So these parts of the experience have been great, but I also really admire something that I don't think that we do in the UK, which is to have a kind of intensive doctoral school in which there is close attention paid to postgraduate work which feeds into the discussion wonderfully, so that the seminars that I have conducted here have been interactive, and the contributions from the floor have been very much valued and very interesting.